Hi, welcome to another episode of Confabulation. Here with my girls, and my guy's about to join us.
Actually, the guy's filming today.
He's not joining us. Oh, you guys, I know you guys love Gabe. He won't be with us today. He's filming. So I just want to say that we are filming from our sister's house here in Tacoma, Washington. And our topic today is how survivors deal with survival after they have left their abusers, how victims deal with their survival and become survivors, how they heal, what they go through. So we do have a guest speaker today. Miss Camille, would you like to introduce yourself? Thank you for coming today. We're happy to have you.
My name is Camille, and do we just jump right into it? I am a domestic violence survivor, and I'm working with our sister's house to spearhead taking this on and making some changes. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. Yay. And I do have my girls with me today.
Hi, I'm Joy, and I'm the project coordinator here at our sister's house. And there's nothing else to say about that.
Yeah?
I'm Michelle. I'm the social work intern here at our sister's house.
Okay, so let's just jump right into it. I think the first question our audience might want to ask you, Camille, is what is your experience from the very beginning when you got into your abusive relationship?
From the very beginning.
We don't have to go all the way back, but
of course it starts. I'll just give it a nutshell. It always starts with the fairy tale love. I believe that I had met my match, my soulmate, my everything. We married, we opened a business, nonprofit, and got pregnant with our son. And it seemed fantastic until probably halfway through my pregnancy, things started taking a turn. Slapping led to pushing, led to more and more and more, until I found myself terribly beaten and injured and held captive in my own house with mental abuse, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse, you name it. He came at me with everything he had. And I fled in October of 2015 for the first time. So going into being a victim is very psychologically confusing, and we don't really know which way is up anymore. So my first attempt at fleeing, I was successful, and I didn't get out officially until, I'm going to say completely, mentally, physically, spiritually, all of those things, until earlier this year, when I took my case up with my personal story, with how my case was handled in criminal court. And it wasn't until I actually started opening some eyes and some ears, started listening, that I finally felt safe and listened to. So it's been a 4-year journey from start to finish.
Congratulations.
If you want hairy details, I can give you the physical abuse, mental abuse, all of the nitty-gritty to that. But it was an absolute nightmare. I had completely lost myself. I felt like I was losing my children. And it was very frightening. It was a very, very frightening experience. Not just to have your safety threatened all the time, but just the whole saga. You go homeless, you gotta get back on your feet, you gotta try to get back to work, you don't dare tell work that you're a victim, then you become unreliable or a liability. There's just so many aspects to getting back up on your feet. So getting out, initially is only the first step. There's about 2 or 3 more steps to getting out. Mm-hmm. And that's where we just have to stay persistent and believe in yourself, which is really tough once you've been broken.
Yeah.
To put yourself back together.
Yeah, it is.
Which leads us to the healing process. And I don't really even know that that's something that ever ends, as much as it just morphs depending on what stage of the violence that you're in. So.
Yeah. Because do you find yourself knowing your triggers, and after 4 years you still have these triggers?
I do.
Yeah.
That's a great place to start. One of the places that I started was looking into those things, triggers, post-traumatic stress disorder, battered wife syndrome, just trauma in general, and recognizing physically and neurologically, emotionally, how the body would react to these things. Music, smells, driving by the police department, just little things like that would send a trigger. And you just have to really dive into yourself and take a good hard feel at what just happened and why it just happened. Because we're in fight or flight, we go into that survivor mode and we just stick in there. There he is.
There he is. We were just saying how it'd be funny if you walked in here. And there you are.
Yes, there's our son. That's the other thing. As a mother, a child, he was an infant when I had to flee, and not of school age, and I had to do it with a child on my hip. And I still do. It's not just carrying your own weight. If you have a family, it's the weight of the world.
Yeah, because you have an older daughter too.
I have a 12-year-old daughter.
Yeah, and how did that whole relationship affect her as a woman, as a growing female? Because he was not her biological father.
He wasn't, and he did a really good job in the beginning with the children. It was actually quite impressive. The children loved him, and she approved of him. Of course, I got my daughter's approval first.
Yeah.
Just because that's the kind of person I am when it comes to that. And it was really great. And then what ended up happening was, to protect her, I had to send her with her father more and more regularly as the abuse picked up. I had to kind of push her out of it, which it wasn't directly him destroying her. It was our relationship, that mother-daughter relationship. Yeah. She didn't witness any of the physical abuse. She noticed when he had bad attitudes. He was very, very careful about who saw and what age they were, as to whether or not they could speak. So some of the children, because he had children as well, it never happened. Well, I don't want to say never. It did a couple of times, and they're told. But he really wrapped that in tight. So my son was witness to the abuse about 95% of the time, because he couldn't tell. And I think that's common, because they think a baby isn't going to be affected like that. My daughter, she didn't witness anything other than like the normal arguing, I guess you would say, normal arguing. And then it was the second, so I've divvied my abuse into 3 major, severe, brutal attacks, and that's not all of them, but it's how I keep my timeline, because those are my moments of impact. It was the second moment of impact that she actually witnessed, and she caught, she didn't see the first blow that dropped me to my knees, but she did see the stomping out, the kicking. And she was rushed upstairs, and then she got to hear the rest of it. I thought I was failing as a mom with her. I felt like she was slipping further and further away, because I was slipping further and further away, and I couldn't have her exposed to that. So she really didn't spend that much time with me. Her dad, who's thankfully wonderful, I'm glad I have the whole opposite side of the spectrum when it comes to running her. He took her, and he kind of knew I wasn't telling him everything, but he knew where I was going with it. It was when she witnessed that we had the police officers sit her down along with the other children and explain that was wrong and how sorry everyone was that she had to see that. And we've had numerous conversations since, and she's actually been like my rock. She's the smartest one in the room, and she kind of keeps me sane, because I'll be saying crazy things, and she'll be like, Mom, that might just be you.
She just seems so laid back.
She's just so awesome. Well, she's gifted. She's brilliant. She really is. She just really figures things out, and she's so good at it.
Yeah.
But I have to say, with my daughter, I know that she's okay, and we've all worked really hard as a family now that we're out. But there was something that she said to me when I asked her, "Were you scared? How did do you have fear that we need to cope with? Do we need to send you to counselors? Like, what do we need to do? Are you okay? Are you okay?" And she's just kind of like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And sometimes you think maybe that's a cover. And I said, "Were you scared? Were you scared at any point?" And she said, "No, not really." I said, "You weren't?" And she said, "No, I was mad. I immediately hated him."
Yeah.
She said, "But it was you, Mom. I knew you were going to be fine." And that right there it just boosted me up to keep going, to keep saving
that
myself.
somebody sees your strength and resilience.
She saw it, and the fact that to know that throughout her life I had displayed such strength and just standing my ground, which I've been very good at. To know
gladiator.
that it's a gift and a curse, but to know that she had been seeing that and that it prevented her from spiraling down with me, and actually was what I held on to, and she lifted me up with that comment, and it just made me feel really proud as a mom and more determined to keep going, because I have 2 little girl eyes looking at me, and I would never want to see her in this position, and hopefully I've shown her the way to move out of that before it gets this bad.
So I know that recently this year you've transitioned into more of a, this isn't right, I need you to be in jail, I need to stand up for myself. What made you have that switch from, I would say, from victim to survivor? What made you instantly switch into that? Did you have to go through a healing process, talk to yourself in order for you to be like, okay, it's time for me to go to the police?
Yeah, it was literally me dragging myself by my own hair to do it, because I didn't want to. Even sitting here today, it's still traumatizing. I have to relive it, talk about it all the time. Nobody listens to you. There's a stigma behind being a victim. All of a sudden, it just morphs as to who they think you are as a person, and they treat you as such, and it's not fun. He had violently attacked me on, I called them round 1, 2, and 3. Round 1, that was not reported. Round 2 sent him to prison. And when he got out, the whole journey through that was rehabilitation and counseling, and rehabilitation and counseling. And everything that he was saying, I wanted to trust, and everything the system was supposed to be doing to help me, I wanted to trust. So when he did his time, and when someone does their time, they're supposed to be forgiven, and it's let go. They paid their price, right? They did their time, let it go. We got to move on. Technically, that's the mentality though that a victim will get stuck in if she's going through this. And he will use that to manipulate. It wasn't until a couple of months after he was released from prison that he started snatching me up by my hair again, or slamming me up against the wall by my throat. And, you can see it gearing up. You can see it gearing up. And it was just right there that I knew that if his record and all of this stuff that he had gone through, and even with the marriage and the love and the support and the family and the child, wasn't going to stop his behavior. That even if it wasn't me, let's say I got out, and I didn't pursue this after now round 3 has occurred, and then the charges get dismissed, which is another story. But the charges get dismissed, so he's out there, and it really, I felt like it could be me again, and they get worse, and worse is dead in my experience. Worse is dead, and if it's not me, it's going to be someone else. And I don't know. I know there are other women that are built like me, and I know that other women can handle what they're given. But I didn't want that, not on my worst enemy, for somebody to have to experience what I did. And I felt like it was my duty as a woman to stop this man, which is why I've pursued so hard the system that continuously failed me as a victim, and I'm not alone.
So when do you think you were able to identify yourself as a survivor versus a victim? And then what were some of the things that you did in that healing process to transition?
I fought for myself. So the case got dismissed, and I'm still a victim. And I just pushed and I pushed and I pushed, and it took me a little over a year to keep fighting in victim status. And there was one day, in fact, I just recently posted about it, where my fight kind of took a turn, where a specific attorney that I had been running through the courthouse trying to find walked in the door. It was this divine alignment. He remembered me, I remembered him. He opened up the file, and this new discovery was found. And for once, I had been telling the truth the whole time, and I had been called uncooperative, those kinds of words. And there it was on the top of the file, and I just felt almost like a sense of redemption.
Yeah, you were vindicated.
Yeah, I
Point.
told you, it's right there,
Yeah.
And then I started asking questions, because when I saw the expression from the 4 people that were witness to this, the jaws dropped, the eyes went down in shame, really. Then I knew I was onto something, and that's when kind of the gladiator came in, and the survivor took over, where warrior status came in and survivor status came in, because just one person to give you the right eye contact that says, I believe you, and we see this, and I'm going to help you. That was what it took for me on that journey, because I had been alone for so long, and I actually have been up until I met you guys, doing this by myself. And it's things like that, reaching out to advocacies. I've been to almost every single advocacy agency, and you have to find your fit. It's a relationship, and you have to find your fit. And, and I was sent to you from a very high power, and I'm so thankful for it. Is that? Yeah?
That answers it. Can you give us a little bit more detail about what steps you took for self-care, and maybe the steps that you continue to do whenever you see because you could instantly reverse from survivor back to victim.
Early on, especially early on.
Especially since, So what are some of the things you do when you feel the victim status creeping back in, and what did you do? Like, what did you go through counseling? Did you do exercise? I know that you're very fit and everything.
I didn't do the counseling thing, and maybe I should have. I guess I'll back up. I did do the counseling. It's not in the conservative way, not the way that you would think. It was very outside the box, very holistic. What I do for a living is recover people from trauma. So I also was surrounded with doctors and surgeons and neurologists and pain management doctors and pediatricians and psychiatrists, and they really answered all of my questions, pointed me in the direction in books. I dove into books. That was the first thing I did, is I dove into books. I started, strangely enough, because your mind is just kind of like out there for a while. I started with astrology, believe it or not, and started kind of digging into, I'm a Pisces woman, and for some reason I gravitated towards that, which, and I'm very thankful that I did, because I'm a weirdo like that. But I gravitated towards that, and then as I started getting deeper into those books, not like horoscope zodiac stuff, but like the real energy behind the sun and the moon, and I do think it affects us, and then that leads into physical reactions. So being somebody that exercises and familiar with heart rate and breath, which is, so I guess the next step, if you're not, you need to start. It's going to drag you up. If I was on the couch, I was in the bed, I was barely showering, but I knew I couldn't live there. And so even if it just meant one foot in front of the other for 10 minutes, I just didn't stop physically moving, because the energy on the inside, the nervousness, the anxiety, all that stuff, it just was radiating. I could feel it, and I had to figure a way to get it out. And then that moves into breathing, full use of the lungs. We tend to stop breathing, and I still do that. I catch myself doing it all the time. Lightheadedness, dizziness, we think certain things, but it's really, are we breathing? We get stuck in those thoughts, those flashbacks, those triggers, and the fear, and we real shallow breath, and that creates other physical reactions, and then we tend to blame it on certain things. I'm sick, I'm all of these things, when really you're just, it's the inside of you kind of going nuts. So then there's the breathing techniques. Water, I lost my appetite completely. I couldn't eat. So I force fed myself, and sometimes I gagged. And if you're gagging while you're eating, you might as well make it healthy. You know what I mean? And so I did that, and even if it was a cheeseburger or something bad, as long as I was getting something down and keeping it in. So water I gagged down. There was a few negative turns, and I started drinking coffee a lot more than I should have. And caffeine doesn't really help with those anxiety triggers, so, watch that, ladies. And so it was, just keeping up on diet and trying to keep it balanced.
Speaking of which, what about environmentally? Because was part of your healing process moving out of that environment, your apartment, your home, whatever, just getting rid of all that and moving somewhere else, and then changing your whole environment?
Yeah, I changed environments 5 times in the last 4 years. I've now been in my house for almost 2 years in the same location, which is good now for the healing process. But yeah, the location of round 1, first attack, I fled that. And that's where I really lost everything. I left everything behind. My furniture got lost. I call it in the fire. I lost my money. I lost my business. I lost my husband. It was like a death. Just lost everything and let it go.
And then it's kind of a social death too, because once you start, when you get married or you heavily date someone, his friends and their girlfriends or wives become, and then your friends and their husbands, you become this set that socializes together, and it's kind of like a social death as well.
It was a lot of deaths. We also are in the same arena, the industry. So what I teach, he teaches, we run very parallel. And so we had also collaborated that into our business. So it wasn't just about the family breakup and the friend breakup, but it was also the industry breakup. And it kind of put our clients and our colleagues all kind of at this
impasse where do I go to her or him?
Or neither.
Like
out of that one, and that was the most of the reactions. Everyone just kind of backed into the shadows and left us all alone, and that was tough. So the first flee, you go into homelessness because you have to leave everything behind. And I had just had a baby and I had no money. Well, I did, but he had it in his control. And so starting from scratch, and when you move in with other people, they are the kindest hearted, like their hearts are just so big, but everybody's going through something. Everybody's going through something, and so you move into somebody else's house, and everyone's going through it somehow, some way, and it might not have been domestic violence, but you can start to, after the honeymoon period is over, you can start to feel the negative energy that just looms in that house on their own stuff that they're going through, and then you're bringing in your mess. It was dangerous. And, people didn't feel safe with me there. So then I move again, and it's the same thing. And there was about a 3-month period where you could stay in somebody's house before it was time to go. And then I moved finally got on my feet, and I moved into my own apartment, and my kids had their own bedroom, and I had no furniture, and I can't tell you how happy I was. We were on the floor, but it was fantastic because finally it was mine, and everyone controls, and having come from a controlled abusive relationship, it was nice to just not have somebody if I didn't want to clean up, I didn't have to, because there was nobody else that I had to be considerate of other than me and my kids.
There was a client, and I remember her telling me one time after she had fled, and she said, I can't, we were going to do something, and she said, no, I can't because I have to go home and clean up the kitchen. And like, no, you don't. She said, no, I have to clean up the kitchen. You just become so conditioned into doing what they're always expecting of you that when you get on your own, you have, I think part of the healing is finding your own pattern throughout the day. Like when I get up and take a shower, when I want to put my clothes on, when I want to do the dishes, when I want to make dinner, when I want to watch a TV show. Those kinds of things become very healing too, because you have choices that you thought you never had. You're just like, oh, I want to watch that movie. That would never happen if he were here.
He would be in my ear about bad programming, things like that. And it's not just the abusive relationship. If you're a mother, you're already kind of tied to that control because you do got to get up, and there are things you have to do. So then it really becomes this nagging voice in your head. I started a timer, and I would every time I was able to sit down to have a minute to myself, whether my kids asked for me or not, I couldn't.
That was your minute.
I couldn't get to 3 minutes before I was popping right
Yeah.
back up.
Yeah.
And I started catching that. I realized that there was no reason for me to be getting up like that.
Yeah.
I could take another minute.
That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
So you
I
have to
never,
retrain
yeah.
your
Yeah, I had
Yeah,
to
you have to
retrain it.
retrain your
I
brain.
couldn't sit still. And I still do that, you guys. It's not, it's repetition, and practice.
Yeah.
I'm sitting down now,
Yeah.
and I'm, I'm not jumping
Yeah.
around or doing
Yeah.
things like that. So it's repetition, and it's just, you just have to kind of sit on your own shoulder and just be that coach in your head. Set timers on your phone, leave notes on your mirrors, relax your shoulders. Are you clenching?
Yeah.
Are you breathing?
Yeah.
And I know that it sounds silly.
No, not to people who have been in experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You can
A
relate.
big one is sit up straight. That was another thing, is I would find myself just kind of, sit up straight, get the chin up, bring your head up. Keep your head up, girl, keep your head up, keep the chin up.
Yeah.
It makes you feel better neurologically. It satisfies the body, and
Yeah.
you automatically believe that you're
Well,
stronger.
exactly.
How
The
Yeah.
crown. Yeah, your crown falls as soon as you
Crown.
bow your
That's
head.
exactly
Yeah.
right.
So,
And I was in pageants when I was younger, and we did have books on our head.
Yeah.
So I would I would walk around my house. My kids would laugh at me, and I would just, just, my crown is on. My crown is on.
You know
so
what?
Have fun with it if you can.
Exactly.
If you can.
Having fun and laughter, that's part of the
Yeah.
healing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to learn to be able to laugh at. You're crazy. You're crazy.
Yeah.
But it's an okay crazy. It's an understood crazy from people like us in the world.
Yeah.
And it doesn't last. It doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
No. But I think you have to move through that.
You do, and
It's like a birth
you
canal.
have to have patience.
Yeah. It's like you're
It's
reborn.
it is. You're birthing yourself again.
You're birthing yourself again, and all the stuff, you're just moving through it. I gotta move through it to get out to the other end, but it's the same. You're just moving through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have to. You can't take shortcuts.
You're being
Here
quiet.
you are
You're being
again.
so good.
You are being quiet.
Yeah, it is. It's that was my thing. So you also have to take a look at, maybe do a little basic 101 psychology study on type A, type B personalities, those kinds of things. I'm a type A personality. I'm strong-willed, stubborn, always have been.
Mm-hmm.
But that came to work in my favor in that direction, where I had to really pull the reins back on myself, because I just wanted to jump right out of those starting blocks and just go.
Yeah.
And pulling the reins back and just being patient with myself, not getting frustrated with myself if I had what I called going on the skits. If I had a going on the skits day,
Yeah.
I needed to just be patient with myself, apologize to the people I needed to apologize to, which eventually, everyone kind of started becoming understanding, and then you have those warnings like, not today.
Yeah.
I can feel it. It's gonna blow.
Yeah.
And it's just really, you have to just dive into yourself. I just hermit crabbed up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't come out. I stopped going to public gyms and just out to parks where there were still people, still felt safe, but I didn't have to come within a 3-foot bubble of
Yeah.
anybody
Yeah.
unless I wanted to. And that's okay.
healing. That's healing in of itself. The realization that
Yeah.
you don't have to engage like
You
that.
don't. The real fight
Yeah.
actually is, it's inside of yourself, and
Yeah.
it's what's going on in here, and it's what's going on in here, and then they want to just
Yeah.
they just collide. It's not
Yeah.
it's not fun taking yourself on. I think it's the hardest challenge, is
Yeah.
taking yourself on.
Yeah.
You are the one.
Yeah.
I've taken on a lot of people and things, but myself has been by far the biggest challenge.
I can agree. Yeah.
Because then you have that your fault the whole time as a victim. Everything is your fault.
Yeah.
You deserved it. You earned it. Well, we know
Yeah.
Camille gets to acting like this sometimes, and it's not, just whatever those things might be, where you start really blaming yourself.
Yeah, but I think too, at a certain point, you have to also take responsibility for yourself and those decisions that you make, because it's not when you become that victim of abuse, it's not your fault. It's
Right.
you don't even understand what's psychologically happening to you at the
You
time,
really
but
don't.
the abuser does, because they're grooming you. But at some point, especially when you get to the point where you're fleeing, you have to really have that understanding that now I have to take responsibility for my own life now, and I can't go backwards. I can only go forward. Well, you can go backwards, but the more you understand and the more responsibility and self-efficacy that you have in your own life, the less chance you'll have of going back and just moving forward.
There's a good hard look that you have to take in the mirror at yourself, and not because I was at fault or earned this or deserved this, but it is kind of an eye-opener where, and moving in through adulthood as well, where you kind of take a look at yourself and you just keep it real.
Yeah.
What are some things that I probably, while we're looking at what is my fault, what are some things I can change about myself that might help me communicate better or be understood better, whether it's facial expressions, body language, tone of voice, the way that I say things.
Or educating yourself about your own experience and putting a name and a face to what you experienced too. Because my thing was I went back to school and I was like, I just want to understand human behavior now on across the board. And so psychology.
I did the same thing, like I said, outside of the box though. So instead of going back to school, I did go back to school, but I actually, I found myself a self-transformation coach, a spiritual guide, and I turned to, for me, faith-based transformation work. And I worked with her for years. We did 90-day cycles. And each cycle, once you completed it and graduated and you got the green light from the coach, from her, then she gave you another 90-day window, and then you would move into another cycle. And so it was about 2, maybe 3 years that I did 4 cycles. And so I had a coach that once a week I would check in and we would focus on words, and we would focus on thoughts, and we would focus on our heart and our feelings, and really kind of dissected myself. And one of the things in this transformation journey that I did was writing out a timeline as far back as I can remember of moments of impact.
Kind of journaling.
Yeah. And it wasn't just moments of impact. There's 2 different kinds of impacts. There's fear and pain, and then there's love and joy. And we couldn't look at one without the other and see, and then where was there more fear and pain in your life? Was there more fear or pain? Was there more love and joy? How can you find balance? How does this explain why you feel this way about things? And it goes the same. So it was kind of juggling these 2 energetic impacts, which are trauma in a human being's life, and those traumatic, scary ones that really mess our system up, kind of fry the wiring, if you will, are the fear and the pain impacts. Very, very...
the trauma from it.
Very, very bad. And so I went through those timelines and looked back at my whole life, my childhood, my adolescence, my early 20s. That was not a fun one, my 20s.
No.
And then moving to 30s, and now I'm 40. So, you know, it was definitely taking a look. It's just so much. There's so much that you have to take and look at. But the priority is getting yourself in a safe space where you can do that.
That's the priority.
Yeah,
I
you gotta
agree.
get into a safe space. The distraction, the fear of having that entity, if you will, around lurking. Just you never know.
Because there's kind of this gray area. I mean, like Michelle was asking you, where did you, and how did you transition from victim to survivor? But because you can always go back. But once you're, once you're in, there's kind of this gray place for a minute.
For a while.
Yeah, it's just this place that you sit in for a little bit, and you could go this way or you can go this way.
You really could swing either way.
Yeah, and you're because this has been so normalized for you. But the gray area is kind of a dangerous
Well, in my gray
place.
area, that was and I'll just touch on that because everyone has their own moment of impact that's going to change them like that.
Yeah.
And my upbringing, my upbringing, me personally,
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of, anyways, a slap across the face, a knockdown, drag out, hair pulling cat fight, you know, a good old tussle, a good old street fight.
Yeah.
That was nothing outside of my normal for
Yeah.
as long as I can remember, going back like to my siblings.
Yeah.
And so the first time I got slapped across the face, you know, it was almost like, for me, and I don't recommend this, it was almost like a challenge.
Yeah.
In my weirdo way.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like, oh really?
Yeah.
You know, and don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
No, don't do that.
Don't rise.
But no, yeah.
But you know,
Yeah.
so it was, that's what I say, there was this abuse, and then when round one happens, this first moment of impact, that was the moment that for Camille, that was too far. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
absolutely outside of my realm of knowledge, understanding, experience. It shook me to my core in every sense of the word. And a victim, unfortunately, has to be taken to that moment of impact before the actual
realization,
flight leaves.
right,
Yeah,
right.
she does, and it's sad because that could be death. It
So,
could be.
Yeah.
did you not see yourself as a victim up until that point happened?
Yeah, I didn't. I felt equally as responsible. I have some back talk, sass, feistiness to me, you know, and he was very good at manipulating what he knew about me. This was my husband. I had opened up. He knew everything. He knew everything about me, my past.
And knows your own.
My feisty,
Yeah.
you know, he
and
knows
knows
it.
what can bring you, break down your self-esteem
Yeah.
as well.
Like, you're innocent, Camille. Oh, like you want to
Yeah.
call me this,
Yeah.
but you this and this and this. You even
Yeah.
told me you this and this and this.
Yeah.
And so it just, you know, in that grooming process of it, you look and you're like,
Or even gas.
I have slapped people across their face.
Yeah.
So you're right. Okay, forgive you, love you. Next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
using the places of comfort that you
Yeah.
felt I could open up to you and just regurgitating that back to you in a negative way.
Yeah, everything I ever told him that made me vulnerable as a human. You tell people vulnerable things. You don't tell everybody, but
Yeah.
you know, your spouse.
Yeah.
They know deep, vulnerable secrets about you, and an abuser. That's what they prey upon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they start to groom you.
It's exactly how I was groomed. Was
Yeah.
you know, oh, what, you now all of a sudden have a problem with this?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
And so it was that I took that moment of impact on the first one that made me go, yeah, okay, that's nuts.
Yeah.
I know where it's going next, which shocked me that round 2 and round 3 actually happened, and then I lived
Yeah.
because they were that bad.
Yeah.
The first one was that bad.
Yeah.
So you talked about your healing process, about like the journaling, and also some of to know or to try to strive for through healing, like the process or different strategies for healing.
Strategies.
Even if it's not the same as yours.
Yeah, I think every individual, I think that's where advocacy comes in. I think every individual has their own path they need to take to get out. We're not all the same. We're not all dealing with the exact same kinds of abuse. I know this is going to sound really strange, but my belief is that any woman that has experienced this abuse and is alive still, even if you're still in it, you're a warrior. You are a warrior. I want you because you survived it for a reason. And does that make sense? Where that's what I would say is that's just my belief on the victim's standpoint, is that this is almost kind of a really gross way of women waking up and a calling forth of these women. You're so strong to even if you haven't left, you know, you're strong. You can do anything. You can do anything you want. You can get out.
Yeah.
You can, and you have to find your people that you trust, and just go there. Just believe that you have a higher purpose, and not everybody experiences it. I think 1 in 3, 1 in 4 of us do, But I believe it's because deep down there's something secret and special about you, and it's trying to come out. It needs to come out.
A lot of people would call that resilience, but I think it's a little bit more, you know, I think it might be a little bit more. It might be that you're a born fighter, or you're just a born, you just, there's something a little bit more oomph than just resilience, because you can be resilient sitting in abuse.
You can't.
There's
words like perseverance.
Yeah.
There's all those fun words.
Oh yeah.
I think.
I just want to add, I don't want to forget about the men that are also experiencing domestic violence.
Yeah.
It just as an added, there aren't as many.
Well, there's more than we think.
So I just don't want to forget about them.
Yeah.
When we're talking about DV.
There's more than we think, but their strategies and their.
I think men need to handle the men.
And them, they have to
handle the women, and the men.
When men need to handle the men, but their strategies are gonna be totally different.
I agree.
Yeah, but
healing, is the healing gonna be the same?
I don't know.
That's what I'm asking. I just figured I'd ask it.
I don't know that the healing's the same for even all the victims. I think it's just
it's just who you are personally.
Yeah, it is, and I've been hearing that too, because you do hear that. Well, men are getting beat too. Yeah, they are. But the magnitude of and the rate at which our women are going down for the abuse. We're just going down.
We're just going down in flames. I meant it more.
That's why we have a male advocate here too, is because in case men do come in here, I've had male victims of domestic violence. I think I've seen about 2 when I was a DV advocate in Puyallup. 2 came into my office and they're like, it just sucks because everyone's just so focused on the women and we don't have anyone to talk to and all that. And I had to refer them to male counselors, because at the same time there is that masculinity factor that I can't relate to you on. Because I could sit here and comfort you and hold you, but at the same time you need someone else to tell you you're a man, you still got this. And I
can only understand to a certain degree.
I know,
but there is a benefit to having a female advocate as a man, because there's things that, yes, you want to tell a man, I feel like crying. Like, you can't tell. I think my brothers don't come to me and they're like, I feel like crying, Joy. Like, like they don't go to each other and they're like, I feel like crying. They'll come to me and
they don't want to cry in front of girls.
No, my brothers cry in front of me. They'll be like, I'm not. They're gonna be mad if I say that. They'll cry in front of me. They want to say things that they can't say to their guy friends. Like, wow, that girl really hurt me. Like, there's a vulnerability that they can't have with other men. So I think there is an what is it? I'm blanking out on words today. Like, safe space. I would say there's just like that motherhood factor.
Nurturing.
That nurturing that they need, that they can't get from. I think they need the male to validate you're still a man, a man, and then they need the woman to just listen to them as So I think if you're a male and you're a victim, you should get a woman and a man.
I will say as a woman, female advocates have been what I've known up to this point. I did look in with male advocates, and not the same kind of advocacy. I actually started working with self-defense instructors.
Yeah.
That was a whole nother level of advocacy that
it's really helpful.
It's very helpful.
I think it's really helpful.
It was something I had done before in my life. People that know me know that I've been involved in that industry as well. But after an attack like that, it was really important for me to go back to these instructors. In fact, I think you even saw.
Yeah, I did.
And let them throw me around a little bit and get me in. And what I loved about the gentle roughness, if you will, with these self-defense instructors that are dealing with victims after the fact, is that they are still very, very safe. You know they're not going to hurt you, but they get you used to a little bit of fight or flight at the same time. They go hard enough where they're still not treating you. They don't treat you with these little gentle gloves, but it was overcoming that fear of. The truth is, as a woman, domestic violence is true, but I also run a risk of being attacked at the grocery store.
Yeah.
And so if I don't have this under control, I could flop.
Yeah.
If someone comes in and does that, if
Yeah.
I'm not handling these triggers the right way.
Right.
So some of the advocacy as a woman going to men, or things like boxing gyms, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, self-defense classes,
Self-empowerment.
school look something, follow
Salsa
people.
dancing?
Dancing too. I sought out. I'm a dancer, and so I sought out
Yeah.
choreographers that were
Yeah.
men as well.
Yeah.
Just because they bring something out of
Right.
you physically that women
And
don't.
dancing,
Yeah.
for some people, if they can't get close, that area, that bubble. You
Yeah,
talked
that
about
3-foot bubble.
earlier. Yeah, some people might need that.
That just,
And I have to say, I've done that. The only person I could get close to originally were like certain friends. They did it. They were like this and then come close. I mean, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
like there are only certain people. I have bubbles, the barriers.
I'm still
and
like that
working.
today.
Yeah.
And,
When I
and
go
you
to
know,
work.
you go
Mhm.
certain people. They'll just start with this, and then go, okay, you gotta break the bubble, and go like, they'll work with you.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do.
because I think part two, it just brings me to that point. I think having another relationship after, you started to heal, if
If you're ready.
if
I
you're
am not there yet.
no, I know, but
Yeah.
sometimes you think you may not be ready, and someone comes in your life, and you've kind of gone through a lot of stuff. You started to really heal, and you don't feel that anxiety with that person.
Do you
I'm
think
what-
maybe you need, before you get into another relationship, a point where I'm strong enough,
This is
I
exactly.
know I know the red flags, I know the signs of an abuser.
Yep.
As soon as I see this flag, there is no
No
buts,
buts.
there is no color blindness.
Right.
You're out the door.
Right, and so I
Out
think
the
part of
door.
healing is figuring out not just the red flags, but the green flags too.
True.
So we have,
And also
there are
you
some
need-
green,
That's
and that's
tough.
difficult. But I mean, I think that's part of healing too, because if that abusive relationship or relationships hadn't happened to you, would you just
Would you even be thinking that way?
Yeah.
exactly?
And also
So,
realizing
yeah.
what you deserve also.
Yeah.
Because a lot of women, after they've gone out of domestic violence relationships and they find a good man, they're like, what are you doing? What
Yeah.
are you, like,
Yeah.
as soon as they're like,
Sabotage it.
yeah, like, they're
Yeah,
like,
self-sabotage
Yeah.
is
They're
real
like-
big.
yeah, it's like, I don't deserve that. No, you do not have to buy me that gift. You do not have, that's not how they treat me. Like, things
Yeah.
like that. Like, especially when, like, a man says, I love you. I feel like as women, we could feel when, like, a man says, I love you, and we're like, okay, this man really does love me. Whereas, like, when other men say it's like surface level, and you just know it's just like
Yeah,
a
you know
surface
it's a
level.
red flag,
Yeah,
red flag.
that you don't really love me. You're just saying it. Like
Yeah.
you're just saying
Yeah.
those words. And then when a man really means it, and then you're scared because it's like, I actually like this man because I could feel it. Like I
Yeah.
can feel his love for me, and I do not deserve it. And it's
Yeah.
like you do deserve this. Like
Or
do
you don't
deserve this
have
love.
any, or you don't have any belief in
I was
it.
just gonna say, or you don't believe it.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
You
have
don't
no.
believe it.
Yes,
Yeah, right.
yeah,
Heard
okay.
that before. You know.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Bye-bye.
That's what he
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
it was to the point we joke around because people are still like, if you started, dating and it's not over yet. It's not
No,
over yet.
yeah.
Until it's over, I'm not bringing any mess into that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just not
yeah,
something I
it's
want to
too-
introduce anyone to. But yeah, the truth is, you get to have, he could, if I were dating somebody and he were to go to lunch and I asked him what he had for lunch and he said tacos. I was like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. You're
You didn't
lying.
have tacos.
I just, that's another
Yeah,
thing is,
yeah,
is
it's-
knowing that in myself is am I always going to have one eyebrow up,
Yeah.
wondering if
Yeah.
they're lying to me
Yeah.
because the lying and the manipulation is so extreme and so severe.
And they have to lie. So you get to the point where even the lying, you're just sitting there going, on set, you're like, really? Oh wow.
And
And
then
and later on, you're just like,
Mhm.
yeah.
this isn't even worth commenting on
Right.
or challenging.
Yeah.
Because I don't even care. I don't
Yeah.
even care to give it that much thought,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, the good men that, they don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
They
They don't stand a chance.
But and that's where, how'd you invite good men into your life enough for you to be like, this is safe enough for me to share with you. This is what I'm experiencing. These are some of my triggers. So if you be careful not to do this. and I know you're not there yet, but I feel like that would be the most healthy conversation to have if this is a man you're genuinely interested in.
Yeah.
My opinion would be, you know, and I don't know, as of right now where I stand is that this would probably be something that, you know, after, you know, not too much time, they probably would want to know about me. Because I'm still processing it myself. You know,
And
I
your
feel like
life is so not regulated, but a lot of your life is still doing, you know, a lot of this legal stuff and processing, and so.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I think even when it's over, just to know a history, you know, working on those triggers, you never know when that's going to happen, and working on that. But you could still get a trigger, and you might not go on the skits anymore, but it could just spark that immediate distrust to whoever you're sitting in front of. And whoever is sitting in front of you is the one that gets it. So, you know, there's a lot of different aspects, I think, when it comes to like moving on into another relationship. The healing process definitely needs to happen, and you need to be almost all the way out.
Yeah, because when my first relationship came up after that, I was shocked. I mean, the relationship didn't last, but even if I hadn't been in an abusive situation, it just
wouldn't have lasted.
It wouldn't have lasted anyway. It had nothing to do with that. We were just, I mean, we're still friends, but I was shocked. I was really shocked because I was like, really? I think you're almost healed all the way, because I went for years without. I was like, no, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to. You know, you had men talk to you like, yeah, buy me a drink, and oh, you're so lovely, and bye.
Yeah.
I don't even want to, you know. And then some of my. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think it's okay once you exit out of a DV relationship and you're healed, for you to go on dates and just, you know, be with a man for a night and throw him away. Just whatever. Like, you don't have to go right into a serious relationship.
No,
like what's wrong with that? Why?
No, I don't think there's. You're right, because I did do that.
I think
that's really empowering.
Is it right to do that?
But the thing is, if you know, the thing is, if you know and they know, if it's like, I went to a bar, I see a guy that's cute, okay, let's, you know, we're flirting.
Okay, she's younger, and I didn't
I was gonna say, I did that when I was younger. I did that when I was younger.
Like I would go, you know, there would be some sort of thing, like you know, I don't know, a fashion show or a dinner or a wedding or something, and then I'm like, and the empowerment of it all, and then you do it, and you're just like, you know, I don't want to spend the night.
Yeah, that's.
I have my own hotel room.
That's kind of a fear
and or I have
now.
I'm like, you know, it was nice, it was lovely. Maybe you can hook up again. You can be my boy toy. I don't know, or not. But I don't feel the need to spend the night and cuddle.
Yeah, you know, I think, and I'll just say where I'm at in my healing, because you're obviously way further than I am.
Girl, look, I'm telling you, it's empowering. But here's the thing with that. Then you move even past that, because you're like, yeah, I got the power now. What are you going to do? I know you want me, but you can't have, you know,
that is a form of reclaiming your power.
It is, you reclaim your power, and then you soften up. You mellow out, and you kind of, after that, now just back to the regular old, you know, if I meet you and I like you and we click and kind of thing. And I don't know how long this is going to last, but we'll take it for what it is, and we'll do whatever. I mean, you know, I'm single. I don't have anybody, but I'm fine in that too, and that's the thing.
That's where I was gonna just head. You have to be good by yourself.
Oh, I'm so good by myself.
Exactly. There's some people who are just so completely dependent on
very
someone,
codependent.
and I feel like especially when you're coming out of a DV relationship, you need to realize that. Like, do you know who you are? Have you validated yourself so that if someone else comes and says you're ugly, you'll be like,
no, I'm not.
You're ugly.
You're ugly. You wish you could have this. Exactly. Is there someone behind me?
Yeah, because they try to make you like, I want you, nobody else wants you, so you need to submit me. Like, no, nobody wants you either.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody wants me.
Nobody wants
Okay.
you.
I don't. Yeah. See, and I still
Yeah.
have that confidence where I'm like, no.
Yeah,
That
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that's not true.
Yeah, that-
Exactly.
yeah.
This is not no dollar store purse. This is Louis Vuitton, and if you can't afford it, move on. Like, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
they don't put me at a discount, honey. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That thing about you, because you're just regaining your self-confidence and your power and your self-respect and your self-worth, and it's just how you're supposed to be before the idiot came along and wiped all that off.
exactly.
You know, it's just like, I'm back to me. I'm back. You know,
Yeah.
and then when you get to that, I think you're right though. I think you're never 100%. You get 99.9,
Yeah.
and that's it, because that experience is so traumatic. You'll never be the same again. But you can get to 99,
Yeah.
and 99 is good. It works.
That's
It's
still an A
plus.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about where 99 might be better than 100 though, because you are the
It won't happen
vulnerable. It
again.
might,
You
if
gotta
you're
know.
at 100, sometimes I look at people that are 100 and they
Stop
talk to
learning.
guys. I'm like, you are so naive.
Yeah.
You just don't get it. Your antenna is up, but not in an overprotective way, in the right way, in the
Yeah.
correct stance. You know, and then you look at the hundreds and you just go sometimes, and they're just like, why are you talking to that person?
Mm-hmm.
What is up with what? Yeah, like, and they've never experienced that
Right.
what you've experienced, so their radar isn't up in the correct way. You know.
Well, and walking around, I think, believing that you have 100% maxed out on everything, you stop your learning process.
Exactly.
You always have to be learning. You just
Yep.
you're never all the way.
Yeah.
And I work with clients that are 85 years old, and they say the same thing.
Yeah.
You just always working on something.
Always
be learning something.
Yeah.
I think with the dating thing and going back into relationships for other survivors, victims that might be out there, where I currently stand is also traumatic on the physical side, where, you know, I'm teetering on, do I want to go hang out with a male and just feel that energy again?
Yeah.
But my hesitation on that is that I don't, and I don't know if this is just me in my traumatized mind, but I don't want to be touched. And there's expectation, I think, behind a certain way where, you know, my mannerisms sometimes, especially if I have a drink, it can be flirty or, you know, playful and things. And
but that's
learning
just
to not-
naturally you.
It is naturally
Yeah.
me. You know, I grew up on stage where I had to wink at judges, you know, so
Yeah.
that's just kind of.
That's
Well,
kind of
yeah.
ingrained.
But it
Yeah.
also, it's that fear, especially sexual assault victims, where I don't want to have to get mad at you for even trying anything.
Yeah, and I don't want to just experience it and have to go home and then have one of those mini little spa, get out of the victimization things.
Yeah.
You know, I used to call it the little mini spa. Now I got to go home and have the mini spa. So then I'll take the whole weekend just to get out of that mindset.
Yeah, it does take.
And that was my whole weekend, just because you tried to touch my arm or
Yeah.
tried to kiss me or something like that. You know, and then I have to do. Then you just got to do the mini spa.
Mini spa day.
It's minis, but not in a good way.
No, my spa days have not been.
Yeah, that's not in a
this is so
good
wonderful.
way.
It's more like calm me down before I go jump
And
off
I
a
know,
cliff.
and let me, because I think I just got re-traumatized a little bit. Now I'm gonna have to, you know, I know what to do.
Yeah.
I know how to do it. I know.
meditate. I listen to frequency music.
Yeah.
I pay attention to my jittering.
Yeah. Now I gotta spend, you know, and then those are some of the times that you might call out to work. You know, like.
Don't even talk.
Not the call out to work one where you're in the abuse, where you're that's constantly happening, but like a self-care kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, ooh, girl, it happened. The date was on a Wednesday. Friday, I ain't feeling Thursday, I'm not feeling so hot. I need to take care of this. So I'm calling out on Friday, and I'm going to have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, and I'll be back on Monday.
You know, some
kind of thing.
offices, not all places, and I don't know remember what office I heard this was happening. They were implementing mental health days.
They really
So-
They
should.
should.
That's fantastic.
They
And
should.
It was something that was so good because people get sick if they don't have mental health, and it was not included in personal days. It was not included in.
No, it was a paid
It was
day.
a paid day, and they were doing like 3 or 5
Yeah.
or whatever it was.
Yeah, they really need to push
That
moving that hard.
added.
Yeah.
It was horrible. Somewhere it was somewhere.
In
I've
or-
been hearing things like
yeah,
that
it was
around the
something like
country happening.
it was something. I don't remember where.
But
it
they
was,
should.
It
They
was
really
something
should.
Yeah.
major pushed for. It was a school. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was like something major.
Yeah.
In the news. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And I have a question for you.
Okay.
So, how do you see your mental health or your healing evolving over the next month, years, etc.? Have you thought about how it's progressing?
You know what, that is a really good question, because same thing, we kind of want to timeline stuff with the healing process. My healing process literally went from minute to minute to
Right.
minute, just get through the minute, just get through the minute. And now
Yeah.
we're working on an hour,
Right. Mini
back up,
goals.
20 minutes, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And and we push out and we push out and we push out. I have just reached a point where I have been able to 3 months, which I
Yeah.
think is really good.
Right, you're
That's
setting a
really
goal. Hey, you're
good.
setting
Yeah.
goals. That's why
Yeah,
I was
3
asking.
months, and I
Yeah.
don't like to keep it like super hammered in on 3 months. You know,
Yeah.
1 week can still be stressful, but I still am kind of looking a little bit further that way. But it was from day to day. Wake up every morning. In the morning, sometimes it's
Yeah.
a reset. You're a completely different person that day than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
And so over the next month, because October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, one of the things that I've started doing is a purge. Now I'm not quite out of even my situation. We have trial coming up and the divorce is not final, but it's all wrapping up the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so I felt like this was a divine lineup where I got to purge. And so every day I am getting it out, just one nasty little piece at a time. And
Yeah.
and it's been very traumatic. Last week was a rough one for me, and thankfully.
But this week was good.
This week has been good.
Yeah, this week has been
last
good for
week
you.
I didn't know
Yeah.
know who I was.
Yeah.
Or what I was doing with myself, and then you just kind of have to pick yourself back up and be like, it's fine. So you have to keep those freak outs from happening because they do. But I just purge something every single day, and it's been years. It's been almost 2 years. No, it's been a little. Where are we at? It's been a little over 2 years since the last violent attack, where so I'm about 2 years out of that. So it's a
Yeah.
little bit more on the healing process. And so now I'm actually kind of going through it with a fine-tooth comb, and I'm just, breaking it all up so that it can just flush right out.
Yeah.
And so that's actually my healing process that I'm doing right now. I'm posting it on social media, which is very frightening, but it's also for the awareness for the cause.
Is that a part of your journaling, or is that a different?
Well, part of the journaling is now part of what's going out on social media. So for years I've been writing it, and I've actually had professionals look at my journal because I'm like, am I schizophrenic? I would show them my journal, and they'd be like, this is very normal, because I did at one point. I thought there was some kind of something going on.
Yeah.
But putting yourself on a timeline, don't put the pressure. I don't like to put the pressure on myself, and I really try to just go with the
because you
flow.
can't heal with that. The pressure is another added stress,
Right.
and you can't heal with
Yeah.
that. Because I'm like 25 years out.
And also, the pressure
Yeah.
is different than mini goals.
Yeah, many goals. Conquer one day at a
You made
time.
Yeah.
This time you made a goal.
This time I showered.
Right.
Today
Yeah.
I did it.
You were making a goal.
Yeah.
Not today, but
Yeah.
3 years ago. That's where I was at.
Right.
I was like, oh, you took a shower.
Yeah.
Camille. You
Completely
did it.
different.
Go girl. Go
Yeah.
girl. You cleaned your butt.
Yeah.
By the way, we're gonna link Camille's
Yeah.
Instagram down below, so if everyone wants to follow
Yeah.
her journey and her story.
Yes.
Yeah, and get all the nitty gritty details.
Yeah.
Today is the 10th, so we are 10 days in
Yeah.
to the journey.
Into
I
it, yeah.
feel it made me sick. The launch made me sick. I was real not feeling very well last
Yeah,
week.
what
Yeah.
what empowered you to be like, okay, it's time for me to get my story out on Instagram?
My case is still ongoing, and what I have always heard about are the cases that are over. She was killed, or she left and she fled. It's been 25 years.
Yeah.
I felt a strong sense of urgency since it's coming to a close in 2019, all of it, to put it out there to the public to follow. This is real time. This is happening today. This is the system. Here are the flaws. Here are the maneuvers that the abusers make. I really want to bring awareness and really kind of what I did was actually reach out my hand for more support.
Yeah.
And I got it. And so
Yeah.
last week, what kept me out of that fear hole
Yeah.
was the overwhelming amount of love and support and words like, you're so brave, you're so courageous, you're a hero, you are a gladiator. Those
Yeah.
were things I needed to hear because I've been looking in the mirror convincing myself of that for a really long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have validation.
Yeah.
And so that's how I
And
moved
you're,
with that.
and like from the time we all met to now.
June.
We
Yeah.
met like,
June,
well,
July.
you
Well,
met
we
her,
met-
June. I met her at a panel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
A sexual assault.
it was a
panel.
sexual assault panel, and then they had like mostly DV advocacy there, but sexual assault,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I remember you talking, and on the panel, on stage, I said, I have never heard of you. How is this?
Yeah.
And this is the system, you know.
Yeah.
How have I never known of you guys?
yeah,
Well, I think we're smaller and we're more intimate.
yeah.
You
I
really
think
are.
We
that's-
really take all of our cases in our hands.
You
and
took
we-
me in like a family
Yeah.
member,
Yeah.
and the other
Yeah.
agencies, and I don't want to, anybody.
Yeah.
But again, you just have to find your fit, your
Yeah.
match, and what you require. at the
And
time.
another thing is, I think we all do, is we want to see women empowered. Like, we don't, like, we make you get up and do what you have to do. We're not going to sit back and let you, say, I can't do that, or I'm not going to, well, if I can do it, you can. So you need to do it. Well, not
I
if I
want to
can.
co-sign you on that because I came crash landed in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the mayor's office.
Yeah.
And you still were like, Camille, this is the work you got to do.
Exactly.
You got to do this.
You gotta do this, you gotta do that.
And I did.
Yeah.
At first, I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do it anymore. But,
Yeah,
but it was.
But that's what I was gonna say since we first, met you. Well, you knew Joy before,
Yeah.
but there's a change,
Yeah,
and
there's a huge
there's a
change.
huge,
in me.
yeah.
Oh,
You
from the
came,
first time we sat at this
It was,
table.
yeah, it was
you-
like, this is what I'm going
Going
through,
through it, and I
now
can't
it's-
take it anymore, and
I
I'm
can't
not
hear-
gonna-
yeah, and now it's like, okay,
Yeah,
you want,
yeah.
okay, I'll do
Yeah.
that, like, it's,
Side of
yeah,
the
like, there's
coin.
not as much frustration,
Yeah.
It sounds like a different side of a coin.
She
is.
is.
It
And
is.
wait a minute, and you just look and feel lighter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, she just breezes into the room now.
Yeah.
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 That's good.
Oh yeah, she does. Yeah, you walk in here differently. You
Yeah.
come,
Do I?
you
Yeah.
come in here differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, before it was like.
Gross.
Now it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The journey it took me, I got to the mayor's where I said I was going, and then I got there, and now what?
Yeah.
And I knew I still had the weight of the,
Yeah.
the world, it still was carrying it. And you guys let me dump it here.
Yeah.
You did.
Oh, we made you do something with the dump though.
But you divvied
Yeah.
it out and said,
Yeah.
okay, let's
Yeah.
just 20 pounds this at a time,
Yeah.
Camille.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you did, but it's helpful to have somebody, not that you took the heavy load and carried it yourself, but you made me feel safe to dump it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that-
I dumped some
yeah.
stuff.
You need.
Oh
that's
my God,
another
yeah,
part
you
of, especially if you are a victim and you're a friend to the victim. You need to be able to sit in the victim's mess, or else you're not gonna be able to understand exactly what the victim. If you're not willing to hear the whole story, then
Yeah.
you need to be like, I'm not ready to hear this. I don't think I could help you, or else you're gonna do more damage
Yeah.
to the victim.
Well,
Yeah.
and you all, because Kelly was in the room at the time,
Yeah.
you all were so open to listening to whatever came out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And you listened to it with such, I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
And you listened to it with such love and understanding, and we've discussed different dynamics and cultural differences, all of the things that we've talked about.
Yeah.
But you did such a good job putting yourself in my shoes in its entirety.
Yeah.
And you understood, and there was no judgment. There was complete understanding, and
You're good.
and I'll tell you what, that was the first time in this whole journey I had felt like that.
Yeah.
that I had felt like if I say this, they're not gonna like me anymore, or they're gonna judge me, or whatever. And
I think
you guys loved me.
Yeah. We still love you,
Yeah.
Camille, yeah.
Yeah, I think some of our, there have been a few of our clients that may come in and feel like, well, they didn't help me. Well, they, but I think you have to be ready to actually be ready to be helped, because
True.
being helped doesn't mean holding your hand and doing everything for you and saying what you want to hear. And there are some clients that we've had that I personally think you're kind of okay, you've fled, but you're kind of not ready to.
Right.
You're in the gray area.
Well,
and you might not want to hear.
Yeah,
You might not want to hear what I have. Well, you didn't come to us like that. The clients I'm talking about are they've just escaped, or they're still in it, and you're in this in this area, like you don't like what I'm telling you,
and you don't.
But that's what I have to tell you. But that's kind of our strategy here, and us being so intimate. No, we don't judge, and we want to hear your story, but we want you to kind of.
But those are the kind of friends that I value, are the ones that shoot straight from the hip and just give it to me real. And, and I can suck it up, Buttercup. And, and it's also individual relationships. For me, I respond well to kind of a militant, disciplined, this is what you do and this is what you're going to do. I don't, I've also been known, if you do hold my hand and do all the work for me, I'll let you. So it was also kind of like that, come on, put on the big girl pants and do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And not everyone responds well to that.
No, you do.
I do.
Yeah,
I do. I do respond well to that. And some of the agencies and advocacy that I had people that I had worked with before I met you guys, they did kind of do that, and it really just kind of frustrated me because I didn't feel like we were going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Because I either needed the I don't want to use the word violent, but the push to keep me motivated, or I did need somebody to do it.
Or I think maybe you needed the intimacy. I think because we're small.
Yeah.
We're not this huge big office with a whole bunch of people.
Well, it's a home. This is a house.
It's our sister's house.
Yeah. It is. And my son, when we come here, they call it Auntie's house.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just so excited. Auntie's house today.
Yeah.
And that's different because in some of these places, and you go and you're checked in. You're beeped in through doors.
Yeah.
They're slammed shut behind you, and then you're locked into this bulletproof kind of room. And they try to make it cozy. They do a good thing. And then the first thing they talk about are escape plans. It's like, again.
It's like
I don't want to have to do that.
Yeah.
And it was very sterile and. It was, for some people you would, intimidating. For me, it just made me angry. I just, get me out of here. I've been caged up for so long.
I would say it would be like it can be intimidating.
Yeah. And it's not a good place to tell your story.
Mm-hmm.
You want to feel like you're sitting on the couch with your girlfriend with a glass, like on the couch out there with a glass of wine.
Exactly.
And you're like, girl, I got to tell you. And let's get some food and kind of thing. You have
it's girl
to.
Talk. It's real intimate friendship and relationship building.
Yeah.
And
that's healing too.
It really has been. You guys have been a huge support. That's why I yelled at you last week.
I know.
She didn't respond. She was on vacation, which is allowed.
Yeah. But then I forgot to put on my phone that I was on vacation, and I saw that and I was like, ooh.
It's like girlfriends,
Yeah.
Don't you leave me hanging like that ever again.
Yeah.
And the fact that I got back laughter from you was nice.
Yeah.
Because I was pouting.
Oh,
I was pouting last week. But last week was a bad week.
Yeah. Last week was a bad week for you. Yeah.
Huh?
Yelling is healing.
I yell into pillows now. I do. I yell into pillows. I take boxing. I go to boxing class.
And let out a lot.
I do. Yeah. I just straight jab right.
Yeah. I don't want to make you mad.
Yeah, no, probably don't. But no, and this. So we actually tied in earlier. We were talking about being a fighter.
Yeah.
And I've been a fighter my entire life, and it's be a lover, not a fighter. You can be both. You can be both. I am a fighter, and I feel that in my journey, you know, I kind of want to hang up the player jersey on and fighting. It's a commitment. I just won't ever physically scream. I just won't ever. I just can't do it anymore.
After a while,
unless I need
just
to
you get
defend
tired
myself
of,
for survival. But that's another thing.
Well, ladies, this has been a nice sit down on the couch and cheers. Yeah.
It's fun. This feels good.
Yeah, I'm glad you came and did our show for us. Yeah, I do really want to thank you because this, and I will leave with this word or this little message. When you have been out of it for so long, like I have, and the work that I'm in, it's very refreshing to meet someone in your stage and what we've talked about today, so I can remember. So because some of it it's residue, some of it gets lost. Like, how did I cope? How did I heal? How did I? And so it's going to help me in my work. You really bringing that back today.
We're stronger together.
Yeah, because then I realize, you know, again, that, you know, you're way over there and she's right here just right now. But what's going to get her over there? You have to remember a lot of different things.
There's a lot of very fine details.
lot of different steps, you know.
Yeah, the healing process.
The baby step healing process stuff.
Yeah.
So
when we said it's such a big loaded question, healing. We just have to take a look at where we're at in our journey.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us again, and thank you again, Camille and Joy and Michelle, and thank you, Gabe, for filming.
Yes.
Gabe will be back next week, ladies.
Yes.
So
anyway,
we will see you.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you. Yeah, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Yay! Oh, that was such a good.
That was a good one.